Welcome to another Triathlon podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is another Triathlon podcast. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome back to another Triathlon podcast. We are still buzzing from all the excitement that went on at Ironman Texas, so we decided to grab a special guest this week so we can hear a little bit more about the race, as well as his history in the sport and the Ironman Pro Series. Plus, if you are into triathlon at all, you have definitely seen a big announcement went out today, and we will have a little bit of a chat around the Ironman World Championships. But to jump us off, let's say hi. Welcome to the podcast, Rudy von Berg. We're happy to have you on here.
Hi, guys. Good to be here.
Yeah, and as always, joined by Josh and Fede. So why don't we jump in and learn a little bit more about you, Rudy? Some people might not be as familiar with your background, but what got you into triathlon? You have a bit of a famous dad when it comes to the sport.
I mean, I've been in the sport for as long as I can remember. I always mentioned one of my earliest memories is 1998 in Kona when I was 5 years old, watching my dad race, and he would bring us around at a lot of the big city, or Kona and all the major Ironmans. So kind of grew up as one of those kids in those families that went around to the big Ironmans, Ironman Austria, the ITU long distance worlds, Kona obviously a few times, and then growing up near Nice as well, that being a triathlon hub and race hub. So and my dad's been passionate about the sport since he was 27 years old and when he was in New York City, and he still loves it now. I still get the long messages after the races with the full analysis of my cadence, heart rate, pace, why did I lose 5 seconds in T2 or whatnot.
Awesome. What's the funniest post-race text you've gotten from your dad? The one that you're like, come on.
Well, sometimes I find he is a bit intense, let's say, or sometimes I find it a bit difficult when he needs to wait a few days, because I've just been put through the ringer for 8 hours. And if after a few hours I get something like, why didn't I do this? Or why is my heart rate so low? Or why did I not look like I pushed myself hard enough at the end? Why was I so fresh at the finish line or something like that? It's a little irritating.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose, obviously, some parents, they have no idea what their children are doing in triathlon. They can barely even spell triathlon. And my dad knows kind of, everything about it. So I think that's definitely nicer.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to the sport here, when did you decide that you wanted to kind of follow in his footsteps a little bit and start chasing down, really getting into the racing and decide to become a pro?
So I grew up doing swimming, biking, running, kind of individually. And also, you can't really do triathlons that early. Soccer and tennis. And then we do 2-week trips for skiing as well. I started skiing when I was 2 years old. So I was kind of doing a lot of sport, a bit of basketball at school too. Not like games or anything, but just, during playtime, And so I did all of those sports till I was 13, more or less. And then kind of when I was around the age where you kind of have more serious competitions in each sport, kind of had to, because I had a very kind of busy schedule already at that age, just with school and practice after school. Because in France, as a lot of you know, the system's different. It's not part of school, so you have to sign up in clubs and do the sports after school. So around that age, I kind of essentially started doing just triathlon or the sports of triathlon. So I would also do bike racing, cross country running. So around 13 to 15, but I started doing just triathlon.
When you started doing the triathlon at the younger age, was the goal immediately to get into long course down the road because you had already seen it and grown up around it, or was it something that you weren't initially sold on until you started participating in more and more races?
Yeah, no, I kind of always had the dream of Kona and Ironman World Championship. So that was kind of always what I wanted to do. And the thought at that time, I mean, still is kind of now, but a bit less, was, you have to do ITU first. You kind of have to build up the distance, work on your speed, or just do shorter, faster racing, and, kind of trickle down to longer distances. And so that's why I didn't do my first Ironman until I was, I think, 27 or 28. It was in 2022. So yeah, almost 29. I was still 28, but it was in the year of me turning 29. And that was kind of by design. I still have, let's say, 11 years at that point, 11, 12 years to do an Ironman career. And yeah, so kind of didn't rush through the periods. I did ITU for a few years in the juniors, and then seniors, and then a U23, and then kind of did a 70.3 career. And then, yeah, now is more.
What was that point where you decided you were going to finally kind of jump into the Ironman distance? Was there anything in your race results or your physiology that kind of made you decide, okay, now it's time to make that leap?
I mean, the age consideration was somewhat there, but also just I was becoming pretty accomplished in 70.3, and I don't know, it just kind of felt like it was a good time to start doing full Ironmans,
It seems to me that, well, you fell in love with triathlon, like following the footsteps of your dad. And obviously, it strikes to me that you're the type of guy who just loves endurance sports, being outside, pushing himself. And then you just kind of like fell into triathlon to get that competitive edge off and actually compete with other athletes and maybe showcase your strengths. But it seems to me that maybe Kona was always way more important than the ITU career in a way for you. Was that always the case? Like, was always Kona the main goal and like the holy grail for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, growing up, Kona was the one race, all the top pros were aiming for. It's the one that has the most media. It's the one I grew up being at. I just remember being little on the side of roads there and just thinking, I just want to be those guys, So yeah, the whole time that was kind of knew that was my dream and that was my goal. And actually, that draws a bit of a parallel with now with the T100, which I'd say now it's a bit more like ITU, and that's why also I decided to do the Ironman Pro Series this year. Because yeah, I mean, it just seems more fun. It's in nicer countries. I don't want to have to go to Dubai and Singapore. So much travel. The bike courses are not as fun. I don't know. The Ironman races are just a bit more mature and just nicer general races, if I can say.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good decision since you're now at the top of the point standings, I guess. You're off and running with that decision. Yeah, no, it is early, but you've had two good results. I mean, Oceanside and now Ironman Texas. So good decision on your part for a number of reasons.
Yeah. I think Christian and Magnus will both pass me in their next 70.3, but yeah, I mean, if I could be third at the end of the year, I'd already be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and speaking of Ironman, you had a pretty incredible result last year at the Ironman World Championships, getting on the podium there. Was that kind of part of that decision to chase down more of this Ironman Pro Series compared to something like the T1?
Early, but not really. I think I already knew last year. I should have done the Pro Series last year already. Yeah, I mean, I had a few issues beginning of the year, so I already didn't perform in the ones where I didn't have Ironmans before the T100s. And then middle of the year after Roth and then after Kona, they were both London and Dubai were both 3 weeks after those Ironmans, and for me there's just no chance 3 weeks after an Ironman. So yeah, it should have, especially after 2023 where I did 3 very good Ironmans. I should have probably just gone for the Pro Series. But the PTO have been doing really good things for the sport, and it's a lot of guaranteed money as well. So that was also a bit of a draw.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Now, we saw you out there at Ironman Texas this weekend. First, I have to ask, what is with the hat with the horns? I saw you running around all weekend with that on there. What is that?
The Bison hat?
Yeah.
Yeah. it's a bit of a spirit animal, a bit of a joke with friends. So I kind of developed it like that already before. So I studied at CU Boulder, and it's the CU Buffaloes.
Gotcha.
But that's not really, that kind of happened after. Already when I was smaller, I was getting presents of bisons. I have this like bronze bison, and I have like these objects of bisons. And then I went to Boulder. So then it started adding up. And then living with some friends here in Boulder, we started including it a bit in conversations, just as joking, as because I train a lot in the cold here in Boulder in the winter, and then bringing it to mindset. Bison, you could say, is pretty, if you can say it, is pretty strong mentally, or pretty resilient. They're there in the storm. So all that together, then would start to joke with friends about it, saying, "Yeah, you're not a real bison if they didn't do a good workout, or if they rode indoor or something like that." And so now we're developing it into I'm the bison, and yeah, pretty much.
Hashtag be a bison like Rudy.
Exactly. That's what you want. And there's more levels of bison you can attain.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, you can't let the Norwegians take the stage in all these pro briefings and meetings anyway. So you got to step up and hold your own too, because it's always like,
exactly.
And even like Pro Tri News mentioned it, like, why do we not talk about Rudy von Berg when we come to talk about winning these big Ironmans and big races? And you're kind of at the end of the discussion, but at the end of the day, we all know you're going to end up right there on the podium or pretty damn close to it. And I think you kind of are always in the backdrop of people's minds, but I think by the end of the season, we're going to have to start putting you up in the front. And I can see that you've already started and have your goals pretty set. And so, do you feel that like that you're kind of an underdog when you go into these races?
Honestly, not really anymore. I mean, since 2023 and even more Kona, I feel like I'm mentioned kind of everywhere. Before Kona, I wasn't on much of the podiums, but since then I've seen my name kind of everywhere. So I honestly don't feel like I'm an underdog in any way. However, I mean, if you have Blumenfeld, for example, in a race, I completely understand he's going to be mentioned more. He has that super fast run. He has those titles. So, like, it's normal. He's going to be mentioned above me. But apart from him, and Gustav as well, I guess, even though he hasn't been as strong lately, but he's coming back strong. Apart from those two, I think I'm kind of in the next flock of athletes that should be and have been mentioned more and more. So, but what's the name of your guest you had yesterday?
Travis Mundell from the Daily Tri.
Say again his name.
Travis Mundell from the Daily Tri.
Yeah. He kind of said it well. Yeah, it's just I don't have that X factor in one of the three sports where I'm just, I'm not the Laidlaw on the bike or the Blumenfeld on the run, but I'm.
You're just
you
there.
Put them all together well.
I mean, it's obviously I'd love to have the same level in two of the three, and then increase by 5% a third. But yeah, I'm trying. I mean, on my day, obviously, I can. I've run a 2:38 in Florida, or I've been off the front in a lot of 70.3s in the past, or Ironmans. So, but yeah, if you take obviously the very best in one sport, it's going to be hard to compete. But.
Yeah, and we love to see that consistency. Like you said, since Kona, you've definitely been right up there against some of these fields that are absolutely stacked. The Ironman Pro Series has definitely brought those big names together more often, which we love to see as fans of the sport. And it's great to see that you are having those performances consistently now. But talking to Ironman Texas, why don't you tell us a little bit about how your day went? It was bit warm, but not so much wind as most would expect.
Yeah, it was a little still more windy than in 2023 when I did it, but also a bit warmer. Yeah, I mean, I had a good swim. I mean, I was, 7th out of the group of 20. And kind of as athletes, we're also looking where we are in the group because, if you're 19th in the group, if there was a break, you would be in the out the back in the second pack. So it's also important to see that I was there in 7th, and if there were some bigger accelerations, I would have still been in the front. So that's important to see. And then on the bike, I actually didn't have very good legs. I was actually a little worried because removed all my days kind of a day later before the race. because the Saturday 1 week out from the race, I kind of had my last break, and there was a storm on Friday. It was snowing Friday night in Boulder. And so we weren't sure. The weather looked okay, but we didn't really want to do a break outside in, 38 degrees. Yeah, in 38 degrees. And so we moved it to Sunday, where it was going to be much warmer, which was 6 days out from the race, which that was okay. But then also the taper intervals moved the day later to Wednesday and Thursday. So Thursday I had some taper intervals on the bike 2 days out from the race. And I felt awkward on the bike. I had no power, which is not really a problem race week because I never feel great. But it just felt off, and being 2 days from the race, I was like, what's going to change that much in 2 days? So so I didn't have great legs. I did a bit of a surge at the start, and Hogenhaug passed me, and I struggled. I was at 50, 60, 70 meters for a while with the entire pack behind me, 12 meters. And he was kind of surging. I was going 340, 350 for a while. And it was a bit harder than it should be in some moments. But then, then once we hit the highway, it was in the group. So then the watts went down. So overall, I did pretty much an hour of 300 watts, 2 hours at 250, and then an hour at 300. That was kind of my race. So that middle 2 hours is when Cam caught us, Leon. And then, then I was behind Leon and Backegaard. And then all of a sudden I didn't realize, and the pack was like gone because there were all the age groupers as well. So you couldn't really see, I had 6 pros in front of me and then age groupers in the middle. And then so I didn't see the pack kind of go away. And so the last back, I had to push pretty hard, drop the guys I was with, catch guys like Ben, Casper Storns, drop them as well. But I was good. So I was still able to kind of bridge that gap to finish the bike with the front, 5 or 6 of us it was. So that was good in the end. Still a decent ride and felt decent for the run. Then I started to run. My lower back has been pretty tight starting runs. My pace was still okay, but it just it bothers me a bit. You can't really open up the stride, and also it just makes you way more uncomfortable generally. But I was still in third, but unfortunately, the 2 guys, Benito and Christian, were in front and putting a couple minutes in the first 10-15K. And then I had a quick porta potty stop. Not sure why, I never had to, but so I lost close to a minute, and then that's when things got kind of tight for the last 15-20 Ks. Casper got within 5 meters of me. Backegaard was within 30 seconds, or with 30 to 40 seconds for 15 kilometers. So that was kind of a big mental battle, and but I was still feeling pretty good, running pretty good, and we were able to hold on for third, even almost catching Benito towards the end. And happy to hold on for a podium for sure. That was kind of the big goal during the run.
Was it good knowing the course and having some of that? We talk about it on the podcast a lot with some others, the mojo of having good success there previously.
That run course is quite nice, but when you're hurting, everything still feels hard. But it is a bit nicer. It's not too long straights, or there's a bit to look at too.
Hippies and all.
Yeah, I noticed this insane, massive house being built that looked like 20,000 square feet, probably.
Anything that keeps you entertained on that run when
a little bit.
And when you're doing your training leading into this, obviously it ended up being a fairly hot day. Were you doing much kind of heat prep training in Boulder? You're not getting those 30 or 90, 100 degree temperatures.
Not quite, but we did get a few hot days still before. Not enough for it to be really heat prep. But I did do a heat prep starting 6 weeks out. I did about 3 sessions a week. That's kind of where we can get in. I think it's hard to get in more than 3 a week.
Yeah.
Because then, you have your intensity days, so we don't do heat on those days. So then let's say you have 2 to 3 intensity days, 3 heat days. Well, that's almost the whole week already where you have, a stress like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to talk to you about, well, first of all, I want to thank you because you're probably one of the few triathletes who is very open about your numbers and about Strava and everything. So first of all, thank you for that. And I wanted to ask you, why do you keep it open? Why are you not scared, quote unquote, to share your numbers? Or because I know for watts are watts, but of course, certain power for you may not mean that I'm going to be going the same speed. There's a lot that goes into, power and bike position and racing. And, but yeah, why are you so open about this? And because you've always been this way.
Yeah, but I'll start by saying I don't understand why others are not open about it. I mean, right. I've always been on Strava. I've always put my watts. At times, I've seen guys like the Norwegians used to have all their watts, and then last 3-4 years they hide everything. But first of all, I'm not going to change my training, or anyone else I don't think is going to change their training seeing what watts I did in training or in racing. So that's the first point. And then, as you said, it's quite different between athletes. I mean, we've seen power meters is really quite individual. Like in some races, some guys are going to do more watts than you and ride 10 minutes slower, or it is very individual in the end. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I don't know. It really just, in the end, I think that's just sums it up. It doesn't matter for other athletes what watts I'm doing in my training. Like they have their own program. They're not going to change anything because one person is doing something. So I think and it's just generally better to be open, I think.
Yeah, like Fed said, we appreciate it. It's always nice to not compare, but just to see what other people are out there doing. And when it comes to race day, then we can see where that translates and how good your CDA is really what it comes down to on the bike, right? And so speaking of that, like what kind of work have you done on your aerodynamics and your fit and making sure you're maximized there?
So I haven't done wind tunnel since in a while now, a year and a half, 2 years. But I've kept kind of the same position, so I was already at a pretty decent CDA in the past. And since I got the new factor, I've been wanting to go. So we're trying to set that up currently. I was trying to do it this winter, but it didn't work out. But yeah, I mean, I feel solid on the bike. I have good partners, that give me like my Ekoi helmet and tri-suit. I think those are really nice. They fit really good. The Factor TT bike is super fast. Cadex wheels. I mean, I think all my equipment is, quite good. There's always more work you can do for sure. And that's why I would like to go back to the wind tunnel, look at the bottle placements. And even though now there's not that much, with the new bottle rules with Ironmans, there's not that much you can do with that. But just generally, I mean, look at new positions would be kind of a shorter, higher angle, like closer hands to your face. You can't go that long anymore with the front wheel rule. So yeah, I guess there's a bit less to play with, but it is always good. It's always an evolving thing. So it's always good to go back to the Velodrome or wind tunnel.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully Ironman doesn't go the way of UCI where everything is so restricted to the point where we can't make any adjustments. So hopefully there's still some variability.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, I think they wanted everyone to be able to, be on a somewhat of a level playing field but the bottle down the suit was the easiest thing for everyone to do. And I thought that was, it was just quite easy to do and worked well, but we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it seems almost counterintuitive kind of to the spirit of Ironman, because that's where we separated from like UCI was. Ironman was about find the most innovative, fastest way, new bikes, new setups, screw the rules. We're just going to go as fast as possible. So it's you got to find, I guess, that balance point between safety and still having room for that innovation, because it's pretty cool to see.
The air bars past the front wheel, that's a problem. That just is negative more for tall athletes.
Yeah.
I actually was past the front wheel on my previous Unico's extensions, and now I'm shorter on my speed bars, but not really by design. It just kind of happened.
How tall are you, Rudy?
I'm 188.
Yeah, about what I am.
Yeah, so if I try to go, slightly on the longer position, I think I'd end up being above the wheel, which is a bit annoying, but.
Yeah, you almost need, like UCI has some of those adjustments available for body composition. They let you if you are a taller athlete or have
I mean, if you're super tall, you're gonna way easier to go over the front wheel. It's not like you're trying to do a Gustav Iden Kona Superman position. It's more natural, to be in front
Right.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, coming up this season, you're obviously going after the Ironman Pro Series. What are the next few races that we're going to see you at after Ironman Texas?
Yes, I'm doing Ironman Frankfurt next. It's really good. I qualified for Marbella 70.3 Worlds in Oceanside, so I don't have to do Eagleman 3 weeks before Frankfurt, which I think I maybe lost 1% there. Doing Oceanside before Texas, for me, is not ideal to do a race in the build-up for an Ironman. The Norwegians, they seem fine. They do a 6-hour break 6-7 days after Oceanside, and they kept on going with big sessions. But I had a bit of a cold after Oceanside. I recovered from it quick, but then I still have a bit of fatigue. 70.3 is still hard on the body. So there's no way I could do a 6-hour break 7 days after Oceanside, which is what I would do typically 2 weeks before a full Ironman. And then, I did a bit of the intensity sessions, but just kind of quite a bit less work or TSS than the Norwegians, for example. But, Christian is kind of built different for that. He can do so much work. So you just got to focus on yourself for that. But I think, I was just not at my full, top shape just because of that. So that will be good for Frankfurt and then Nice, the next race after Frankfurt, to have just full Ironman builds without a half.
Is that really the only thing you'll do different going into Frankfurt, is just removing that 70.3 from the equation and having a full build into it?
Yeah, pretty much. I'll go to Europe. I'll probably go 3 weeks out. So I'll do kind of the big session there in Europe, in France. I'll still do heat prep. Frankfurt will be hot. But I've been training really well over the winter. I'm super consistent, didn't have any bad session really. A few at the beginning, but more or less was. So in Texas, I was actually hoping for almost better. It was solid, but I don't think it was my very best race. So I think that's still to come.
Yeah, and that's probably a good thing when you're looking at these seasons just seem to be getting longer and longer for you pro athletes, kind of starting in Oceanside and then heading into the Ironman World Champs and, like you said, Marbella afterwards. There's not a ton of downtime anymore. How do you kind of balance out the racing and trying to peak for such a long season?
Yeah, well, it is. You can't really plan any, as you said, downtime or holidays or just do anything or even visit my sister in the mountains. It's like I feel like the whole year is really, every week has a purpose almost, which is it would be nice to have a few weeks at some point where you're not really training for anything specific. But as you said, Texas to Frankfurt is 9 weeks. You don't really have time to mess around. I'm taking this week super easy, but next week pretty much. The first week next week, or the first week back, so I'll be at 8 weeks. We'll be not too focused, but after that, it's kind of, then we'll be at 7 weeks from Frankfurt. Then got to be kind of full focus, and then a bit same, Frankfurt to Nice, and then Nice to Marbella. So so April to November is kind of focused every week, which can be a little tough. But usually I love the process. I have a good life here in Boulder, so it's not like I'm hurting.
Fair enough.
Hurting mentally, but as I said, it would be nice at some points to have a few down weeks. But with the Pro Series, it is pretty difficult. But I think actually I was saying, if I wasn't doing the Pro Series, I'd probably do about the same program. Probably do a 70.3 Ironman a bit earlier, and then early summer Ironman, and then a Worlds, So it kind of be almost the same.
There. Yeah. Well, we kind of teased it at the beginning. We just had a big announcement from Ironman this morning, kind of breaking news in there that they're changing the Ironman World Championships back to 1 day of racing, the classic Kona style, starting in 2026. And then we're going to have the Ironman 70.3 World Championships in Nice to kind of fulfill that, I guess, contract obligation to have a world championship there. But Rudy, wanted to get your thoughts on having the Ironman World Championships being back to 1 day, men and women racing on the island. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a really good thing. I thought the separating 2 different continents, men and women, different time of the year, was a pretty bad idea. So I'm really happy everyone's back in Kona. especially men and women together. You know, I'd be happy men and women together kind of anywhere. I think Kona's even better, but yeah, the main thing for me was to have the men and women together. But also, I was thinking you just try couples, you know.
Yeah, right.
Want to do the race, it kind of ruins the whole thing. Cost-wise, for those couples, if they have to do both races, that would be crazy too. And then also from a sponsor point of view, I mean, a lot of brands didn't want to go to Kona if it was only men or only women. Unfortunately, even more if it was only women. I think the sponsors didn't want to go to Kona. And then in Nice, it was a bit the same thing. So it's better, for triathlon overall, I think, to have the one big event with everyone together at the same time.
Yeah, that's the fun part, being on the island with everyone there. And, you know, triathlon just takes over Kona and the pier and stuff. And it's fun to see that. The vibe was definitely different the last couple of years, whether it was the men or the women racing, just a lot less sponsor activations, a lot less going on all around. And like you mentioned, specifically for the women, unfortunately, they just didn't have that same pull for a lot of the sponsors too. So looking forward to getting that vibe, that energy, everyone back out there and just seeing some epic racing back in the classic Kona style.
Exactly. Yeah, and for Nice, I think it's good also that they're doing the 70.3 Worlds there, because they had it in 2019. That was a super nice race. Yeah, I think it's a worthy course for 70.3 Worlds. At least it won't be a draft fest on the bike. There's plenty there to separate people on the bike. Yeah, and Nice, I mean, has the history, and it's a very nice area for triathlons.
Natural progression, since you just mentioned it, 12 meters or 20 meters?
I mean, I'd say always 20 is probably better, but now it's 12. You got to play the game, you know? So usually in the past, I have to go off the front on the bike, because if I want to win, I'm not going to be I can have a good run, but I'm not going to be the fastest runner. So yeah, it kind of includes tactics a bit more with the 12 meters. But yeah, I just wonder if 20 meters, you know, now we have 20 guys in the groups, if you could enforce it the same, or if it would be a bit more difficult.
I mean, with Race Ranger, it seems like some of the cyclists who maybe weren't as technically sound as others can now stay closer. And maybe they were drafting 15 meters and not knowing it. And now with the Race Ranger and the lights, they know they're 12 meters or 13 meters. I think it's probably helped the draft trains.
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure about that, because I feel like before you didn't have the light, right? So you weren't scared of hitting the red here and there. So the guys would kind of be at 12 to 15 meters, would probably be at 11 meters also quite a bit without getting a penalty. Now we know we're never within 12. I mean, we know if we hit the red, we have to pass. So, and also I find it's really quite hard to just stare at the light the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we're just dead flat, no turns, no elevation, and you can just do the exact same power and just stay at, 12 and a half meters. So I, for example, get out of even the 17 meters. So I'm on no lights for a lot of the time too. So that's why sometimes I'm not so sure if we're actually drafting more now or not, or just having more of the draft effect being close to 12 meters.
Fair enough. And actually, I wanted to ask, so we saw some posts from some of the pro men after the race with the new, or I guess the GPS trackers that they have to have on their back from Ironman. Looks like a number of athletes either had some extreme chafing or burning. Did you feel any of that, or did you see that?
Yeah, well, actually, we were there in the post-race sitting area, food. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we took off our tri-suits and saw it on Gustav and Leon, and I had nothing, but yeah, it looked pretty. But they actually didn't even know. I guess just the heat of the event, they just didn't notice. But yeah, it looked pretty burnt on some of those guys.
Yeah,
that's when you have to shower afterwards and you feel the burning of the chafing.
Not gonna be great.
It sounded like with Canute. Canute said he started feeling it during the run as he's dumping water down his back.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how their pockets are made. I mean, I just have a simple mesh pocket. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe more muscular back, less muscular backs. Maybe it has a difference, or maybe how you run if your shoulder blades are back, because it is kind of there in between your shoulder blades. But yeah, not sure exactly, because the GPS unit has a bit of kind of silicone around too. So it's not too bad. I mean, you feel it a little bit, but well, you forget about it during the race.
Fair enough. Now, we put up a post for some questions. Josh and Fede, did you have any other ones that we had from the audience that people wanted to know from Rudy?
Yeah, I have a question for Rudy, and it says, how do you keep mentally strong while going through bad patches, especially on a race?
Yeah, I think that's something that's kind of wired in our body from training, honestly. We do it so many times in training. I mean, not everyone does it, but you got to practice it in training. And we go through those patches so many times in training that I think in the race, when you're a bit more fresh and tapered and all that, you're able to just kind of more naturally access it. I mean, it is very hard still, but what's the other option, you know? Well, I'm just going to slow down and be fifth instead of third. No.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of what I tell myself in the race sometimes. I'm like, there's no way I'm losing this third spot. Like, I'm telling myself, fifth is shit. I want to be on the podium.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Is that something that on top of practicing in training, are you taking it to that other level that most of us triathletes would without the music, without anything going on, without YouTube or whatever, and just sensation of just you riding for 4 hours on your trainer?
Yeah, I mean, so I already don't train with music. So I think I'm a bit used to it already. But yeah, I mean, in the race, I mean, obviously, there's also so many things that come into being mentally strong in a race. Like, you have to enjoy it. You have to be happy to be there. You have to have that fire inside you to perform. Like, you know, there's all those things that kind of come into you being strong mentally on race day. So yeah, a lot of aspects to that performance.
Well, one of the questions I got, actually a couple of people asked it, and I don't know if it's because of the post or the story that you guys put up about that food tent and the tent post-race, but it was like, what are your favorite post-race meals? Obviously, it's probably not pizza and Athletic Brewing beer, but that's what you were offered quickly after the race in Texas. But what is your ideal post-race meal?
Usually kind of craving something fresh.
That's a new one.
Yeah. I mean, usually I'll also give you the burger answer or something greasy and salty.
Yeah.
That's definitely in it. But also, yeah, something fresh, even if it's like, well, at the restaurant after the race, I had in the starters, there was like this octopus and this raw fish with vegetables, but just, yeah, like, you know, kind of nice.
Fair enough. Well, we've got some kind of quick fire questions that we like to ask the pros that come on here. Nothing too crazy, but I wanted to find out kind of along the lines of food, what's the weirdest thing you've kind of eaten during training or racing? Maybe you've had to stop at a gas station where you're completely bonked and had to just grab something.
Hard to say. Usually I just kind of go for, if it's like a really long ride or something like that, go for some chips and Oreos, or
those would be good.
You know, sometimes the McDonald's stop works well. I think kind of that's the bread and butter.
Excellent. Definitely get that saltiness, which is always good. If you had to race an Ironman as a pair with another pro, who would it be? Now, this could be someone who either pushes you to get faster or that you just want to hang out with for the 8 or less hours to do an Ironman.
And so that would be, yeah, I guess I have both options. I'll probably go for the performance. So probably, I mean, it's hard to go against Magnus. I've raced Magnus a lot the last few years. So powerful on the bike, and he's big, so he has a good draft.
Yeah,
he's not too crazy on the run though, so that would be, yeah, he'd be a good guy, and I could pull him a bit on the swim maybe too.
Yeah. Perfect. Team triathlons in the future, we got to see it go down. That'd be a lot of fun.
Sub 8.
Yeah. Man, with Kat Matthews' performance this weekend, we might see a sub 8 just on her own cruising around.
I know. Yeah, that was wild.
Well, if triathlon had a fourth discipline, something that would give you the edge in the race, what would that be? So we've had a couple answers like hockey for some of our Canadian pros or eating competitions. What would give you an edge if you had to add a fourth discipline?
I'm a pretty good skier. So triathlon or skiing, that'd be cool.
There we go. Be interesting to try to find a location.
Yeah. But
it definitely seems to be the sport that crosses over a lot the most. Exactly. I thought you were going to go with basketball, like back to your childhood. And like, all right, I'm going to use my height.
I do love skiing, and even if it's just downhill or skimo, that would be, I would make it super hard. You know, skimo is the uphill skiing is skinning is really hard physically. So or like even like cross country skiing, kind of similar.
Yeah. And would you put it in after which discipline? Would it be swim, bike, run, skiing, or would it be skiing, swim, bike, run? What do you think will give you the better edge?
Yeah, you'd have to put it after the biking.
Swim, bike, ski, run. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. That would be a very hard organization.
Yeah, finding a location for that might be a little tricky.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
Well, they just announced a Redosa race. Maybe they have a winter triathlon, swim, bike, skiing, run over there, and altitude. So that's another factor as well.
Oh, is that altitude?
Yeah, I think it's like 8,000 feet. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That should be a cool race.
So you mentioned you don't really train with music, but do you have any kind of guilty pleasure song that you listen to, maybe race morning when you're trying to get pumped up or ready to go?
Last year's I've been big on Kid Cudi.
Yeah, that's a good one. Get you fired up.
He gets me going good. I feel like with him, it's more kind of a deeper motivation it gives me rather than just like a stupid song that would make you motivated just in the moment, you know?
Fair enough. And then last question, our quick fire here. What's one piece of advice you've been given over the years that's kind of resonated with you?
Yeah, that's tough. Let me think. I mean, generally, I'd say like advice for anything really, or for performance, or just general life.
Something that's kind of stuck with you or motivated you, or
I feel like I'd usually have something, but I'm struggling right now.
Let me give you one to think about while you're doing that one. What is another profession you would do if you had to remove triathlon?
I don't know, because I've been so invested in triathlon for so long that there hasn't been that many other options in my mind.
And partnerships. That's natural progression.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been interested in kind of how human brains work, kind of like psychology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe something related to that. That actually also ties into marketing in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have a great advice one for you.
All good. Yeah.
Let me ask you another question. If you were to train somebody like from zero to not pro, but like a pretty decent age grouper, what advice would you give that person, and how consistent would that person need to train, and for how long, so that he can go from, okay, you're sporty person, but just getting into triathlon, to like a, Kona qualifier type of athlete?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of, you need to train every day, for sure. The biggest thing that I follow and that I would tell my athletes to follow would be to not force paces, kind of let the paces come to you. And that can be within a workout and also throughout the weeks building for a race. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people do is they always want to do, if they have a range, they'll always go for the max pace of the range, given by their coach, even if it doesn't feel good, or they even try to beat it, which doesn't make sense because then you're above what you're trying to work at. Yeah. So, and even within workouts, kind of let the power come to you, let the pace come to you. I think that's a big one. But yeah, even more just throughout a build. Like I'll start in January, February doing Ironman pace workouts that people would be like, oh, this is stupid. Like, this is ridiculous. Why is he so slow?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of same for a lot of the interval paces workouts. So that's one of the big ones I follow myself and would give an athlete.
Yeah.
No, that's some great advice in there. Definitely something you always see with all of these A-type motivated triathletes, and kind of that Mark Allen style. Like he would always say the same thing. He was just so slow at the beginning of the season.
And I mean, yeah, it's hard because you have to be patient. If you're motivated, sure, you want to do your best pace. You want to be happy with your workout, whatnot. But you need to know in your mind that the best way to be the fastest possible on race day is to kind of follow that and be patient.
Yeah.
Fantastic advice. Well, thank you so much. We've taken up a fair bit of your time here, and we sure appreciate you coming on and chatting with us today, especially so soon after Ironman Texas. And we definitely will be watching along and following you through the Pro Series.
Yeah, thank you. It's been fun. Yeah, I'm a bit more recovered now. So till yesterday, I was still very, very tired just doing nothing, but today's a bit better.
Wow. Welcome back. You're on your Frankfurt build now.
Yeah, there we go. I've had 0 workouts since the race, but today's first day of active recovery.
Well, that's a good message for age groupers as well. I mean, you've taken half a week off.
Yeah.
Take the time to
I need
recover.
it. I see some other people. I've already seen Instagrams back to work.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They didn't go hard enough.
Right. Don't be the workout hero. That's the message here.
Yeah, exactly.
And Rudy, what's the best way for everyone to kind of follow along with you this season?
So the two main ones are, main one is Instagram, and then just Rudy von Berg. And then I also have a YouTube, Rudy von Berg Racing. Have done slightly less videos recently, but I did Kona, and there is going to be a Texas video coming out soon.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, we will link to everything in the show notes there, so go check that out, and you can take a look at his Instagram and YouTube. But until then, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.